can say this about season 4. It is going to be so worth the wait.
Nowhere, actually.
A wrecking machine. I'll take it.
I'm still figuring out my own style, Mark, actually.
It was great.
It took 2 minutes and I had to answer, yeah, go for it.
Are you sure you're not interested? I was like, don't ask me again. I can't refuse it twice.
In Holland, in one country.
She got me so deep and underwater, and I drank it. That's not good.
You'll try chocolate from South Africa to Australia to England. It will taste so different.
So it's been really amazing that it's been with you after 10 long years.
The first title we were messing around with, we were going to call it Lockdown. And then after a while, we actually kind of realised, God, this is dragging on a lot longer than what we thought it was going to be.
I didn't want to give people a reminder.
Our bass player has a band. We were like, let's go on the road, man. But and then it just came to a screeching halt.
We had to work on like how I was biting the carrot. Like I had to do it very purposefully, you know? You didn't want a weak bite, but you didn't want a bite that was too strong.
Someone jumps the stage and one of our techs just body slams him to the ground and you can see me kick him.
I guess I was too distracted. I was having too much fun. Never a bad thing.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Shota. Hello.
Hello, Mark.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Mark Sugiyama from Eclectic Arts, based here in Seattle, Washington. Thank you so much for joining me today on this Wednesday, the 12th of May, 2021. And I'm really excited about my interview this morning. Well, morning for me here on the West Coast. A few housekeeping things as always. Tomorrow on Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, I have Katarina Nix, who's from Chile. She is a fantastic singer, sings with Chaos Magic, which is a symphonic type of metal band. And she's been doing a lot of project work as well with other artists. So looking forward to talking to her for the very first time tomorrow. And then there's a lot of other things that are in the works right now with a lot of publicists and from the film side of things and also from the music side of things. So there's going to be some more things that are announced very shortly once they're actually solidified. If you like to follow me as Eclectic Arts Media, one word, on Instagram, that's where I post everything first. And then some of that information gets posted over and migrated over to Facebook, but not all of it. So some of it's exclusive to Instagram. And if you're here on YouTube watching this now or watching this later, if you could subscribe to my channel, hit the like button for this particular video, that's always a plus. And if you want to know what's coming up, you can hit the notification bell, but be aware that it's going to send some emails to your inbox. So. But if you could subscribe, that's always a great help to me. And again, if you could like the video, that's also a help. If you're on the Twitch side of things, if you could follow me over there, I'd always appreciate that as well. I need to spend some more time with Twitch. It's been something that's been a part of these virtual interviews since I started doing them almost a year ago. And I just, for whatever reason, don't seem to spend much time over there. But I love it. I know it's a powerful platform. This is completely on me that I need to spend more time over there. But if you could follow me there, that's great. And speaking of which, next Saturday, the 22nd, the whole reason that I do all these virtual interviews is because of the wonderful band Alice, and we are getting the band back together. All of us, including Carl and myself, are going to be doing a virtual get-together, reminiscing about that whole virtual tour that we started on May 22nd last year and did 59 shows. Well, I did 59 shows. They actually did a few more. So that's going to be next Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. So it's going to be really fun to catch up with the band, see what they're up to, and just kind of, reminisce about that whole experience, because at least for myself, things are very, very different now than where I was last May in terms of my own headspace. And society is, still got its issues, but it always will. And but that's going to be fun at 1 p.m. next Saturday. And then if you love the film things that I do, I have some wonderful film directors joining me together on Friday the 21st. and that's going to be my second director's symposium. So I have 3 directors scheduled. All of them have made wonderful documentaries that I've reviewed for various film festivals and various film companies. And so we're going to be bringing them together to kind of talk shop about their process and what they're working on now. So that's what's coming up. But let's get to my interview today, because I'm excited to talk to this artist. My guest today is a talented music artist. Her latest single, When the Drugs Don't Work, just dropped recently. Please welcome to the Eclectic Arts virtual studio, Kit Major.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, Mark.
Yeah, thank you, Kit. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate this. How are you doing down in LA, now that I know that you're down there?
I'm doing well. It's been nice weather, which is not really a surprise anymore. But I've been here for a bit. I've been here for about like 5 years now. So this is definitely like a part of my routine. If I moved back to Chicago, I would probably be sad. Although I love it. It's just weather-wise.
Okay, yeah, that's great. We were actually looking really good up here as well, and then today we're kind of looking more typical Seattle, I guess. That's kind of gray up here, but I've been born and raised here, so I'm kind of used to it at this point. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking and learning more about your music and your background and everything else. So, but let's kind of start with the present. So yeah, When the Drugs Don't Work came out, I was looking at the music video. That's how I got connected to you through your publicist, and I really like what I saw and what I heard. So what can you tell me about the background of that song and when it was written, and also when you did the music video?
So that song was written about a year ago, actually, like right during this time of the pandemic. And I have anxiety and depression and OCD. And so it was already kind of affecting me in that way. And like additionally being home, and I was keeping up with my medication that I have. And I was noticing that I was just still feeling so depressed and still feeling so down. And I kind of wrote a message in my phone when I was on a walk of like, you know, I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying, I'm taking my medicine, I'm doing this and that, and I'm still feeling this way. Like, what happens when the drugs don't work? And from that place, I wrote the song on my piano, and then because it was already coming from like a very vulnerable place, it was like half written because it was talking to me and how I would want to be comforted, because it's always a difficult kind of conversation when you are trying to tell someone what you need when you're going through it. When you're having a depressive episode, it's for me personally, I have a hard time explaining how I'm feeling. And so I was trying to figure out the best way to do it. And I realized I know how to take care of myself when I'm going through that. And so this was just kind of like a message to myself, but also for anyone who also is going through it, of how to comfort, how to be there for someone when the drugs aren't working. And the video was a very almost fairy tale aspect of that, because the way that I view myself isn't necessarily like I don't view depression or anxiety as this like dark thing. It's a part of me, and some days I'm extremely happy, some days I'm sad, some days I'm feeling anxious, but all of those moments I'm still me. And I like to picture, like, when I'm having those moments, it's not necessarily I'm seeing like this dark version of myself. I'm actually picturing kind of like a Disney princess running up the tower of, oh, okay, like, let me figure out what to do before moving on to the next part of this movie. It's never, I try to not let it stop me. I try to keep it moving forward. And so that's kind of where the video idea was coming from, in a sense. There are a lot of different inspirations with the video, but one of them was to bring up this kind of fairy tale lighter side of it, because you're not one person. You're not just light or dark. You are all different colors.
Yeah, no, that's very well said. I have a lot of things I'd like to ask you about that. I see some. Okay, the person just said that it must be Twitch because YouTube is fine. So, okay, we'll kind of go with this. But yeah, what I was going to say is that I appreciate you being so vulnerable and open about things that you've been battling and working through. It's something that I personally have dealt with myself. And you're very right that I know for myself, when I'm feeling in those kind of darker places, it's really, really hard to describe to anybody. And usually they mean well and they want to try to help, but sometimes what they say actually makes it worse. Yeah. So it's kind of like, I just wish they would just not say anything and I just kind of know that they feel, that they want to help me and they just don't really know how. And like you also said, though, at the same time, there's all these different shades, you know, between dark and light and everything in between about how you're feeling and how you're presenting yourself. And I know for myself, it could be not even any day of the week. It could be just within the same day that I might wake up feeling pretty good about things, and then something triggers it, and then I start feeling this kind of weighted blanket come over me, and it's like, oh crap, I don't know if I'm gonna, you know, continue feeling like this, and then something might kind of make me go back up, and sometimes I don't go back. I actually might go further down, and it's like, so what am I gonna do? And how am I? I've got a bunch of stuff I have to take care of today, and I don't feel like doing anything. I feel like going right back to that bed over there and just like tuning the world out. And like you said, during the pandemic, you know, last year at that time when you were writing the song, that if you're already working through these kind of things, it just added so much more on your plate with just the weight of the world and society, and you know, this virus that we're trying to deal with, and all this divisiveness amongst people about who believes what, and we can, you know, administration things are going on politically, and it's just, oh my goodness. I mean, how much more can you dump on me that I don't already need?
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's fascinating that you managed to put that all into a song, and that couldn't have been easy for you. But at the same time, when you did the video, that you were kind of trying to portray, like you're saying, you know, like the Disney princess part of it, and kind of these weird, not weird, but just these different types of things that people that you know, live with depression and anxiety and other, you know, other things, what they kind of go through, and trying to express that to someone who doesn't go through those things and can't relate to it. So I think that's amazing.
Thank you. There's one part that's like fairy tale, and then there's also like the narrator. So it was kind of to get away of showing, going through it, and also describing it, and just like the different parts of myself.
Yeah, no, that's, again, that I think it, I'll have to go back and look at it again, because now I have this backstory of you know, what your intention was with it. And I just thought that, you know, there's definitely things going on, because I looked through other things of your music, and so like, okay, there's a lot of lyrically, there's a lot of things going on with you, what you put into it, and so that's what's really fascinating for me to get a chance to talk to you and let other people know about you know, about your music and what you're putting out there, and that it is very, very intentional. I mean, for me, like I was listening to Miss 16, and like, wow. And plus it's a lyric video, so all the lyrics are there, so like you can just follow along with it. And it was like, man, you're really the type of artist that just puts yourself out there. I mean, like really put yourself out there, and I really admire that a lot.
Thank you. That is the best thing I've ever heard. Thank you. It's really sweet.
Oh, well, yeah, thank you for doing it. Because I mean, again, for someone like myself, and I've been a musician most of my life, and I'm a photographer and writer and all this stuff. But again, I've been living with these issues for decades at this point, really. And it's interesting to figure out, like, so people that don't know me very well think, well, he's got it pretty good. You know, look what he's done, look what he's accomplished, and all that kind of thing. And I am proud of that kind of stuff. But trust me, it hasn't been easy. and I have my shitty days too. And I have some that are just awful. But we find a way to kind of pick up those pieces and, you know, approach another day or another moment, and then see what we can come out, and especially through art. I mean, I think it's been one of the most therapeutic things, probably, at least for myself, to be able to find ways to express things when I'm not in my best place. Some of the best stuff comes out of me.
Yeah, I've started, where I started writing was middle school, elementary school, because I was bullied as a kid, and I've struggled with talking about my feelings and standing up for myself when I was younger. And so I would turn to my journals and my diary, and I just started turning to music, because that was where it was just this safe place to dissect how I was feeling, analyze it, and get me through it, because I didn't really know how to reach out and get that help. And so I have a lot of like journal entries in my songs, because that's how I process life. And even most recently, I feel like I've started going back to that, because at one point I have started, because I adore storytelling and using my imagination, that I started telling stories. But then when especially with the pandemic, and especially with personal matters of like breakups and losses, it was kind of a way to go back of, this is how I handled it when I was a kid. This is how I handled it when I was younger. it actually is helping me as I'm an adult. And so it's been really interesting. Like Miss 16 was written last year when I came home for the last time when I was in college, and just kind of looking around at my town and realizing I don't miss who I was in high school at all. And that's not my glory days at all. I don't relate to who I was back then. Instead, I wanted to help her. I wanted to hug her and move and close that chapter.
Wow, that's I resonate with a lot of what you just said, because I was bullied as well when I was in 6th grade in particular. It's really affected my life ever since that whole half a year of school. Everything I was on one path, and that completely put me onto a different path. I started to become extremely quiet. Junior high was kind of the middle part, but when I got to high school, and some of my high school friends I'm still in touch with who watch these, they know it's like that was kind of my name, was Mr. Quiet, because I just didn't say anything. I just didn't talk. I was completely in this world of music at that point, and playing guitar and listening to bands and going to concerts. But if you saw me in a hallway at school, you would have no clue who I was or what I did or what I was about, because I just didn't talk to people. Thankfully, I had that small group of friends that didn't judge me that way, and I'm still friends with today, like I just mentioned. But yeah, that was definitely not my glory days whatsoever. Of being 16 or 17 or 18 in high school. And then if I look back at that, that version of me, some of it I relate to, but then some of it, I feel really, really bad about. That I think things could have been so different had some things had not. If things had not happened as they did in elementary school, I don't know what kind of person I would be now, because it would, again, I was on a whole different track, and you can't change what happened in the past, obviously, but you can sure as hell learn from it. And I'm also very aware of where things are when I approach other people. It doesn't matter their age, or I used to work with students a long time ago, and I'm a very empathetic person. And I think it's because of what I went through, because I'm like, I've been there. So if I see that happening with somebody else, I won't stand for it. And, and I was kind of like you. I didn't talk very much about it. I didn't stand up for myself enough about it when I look back at that time. But I sure as hell will now. So, more power to you and what you've been doing. And I love the fact that you are pulling some of the things that got you through that time now as an adult, like writing in a journal and using that for your music and your lyrics. And I have some of my journals too. And I have some of them from when I was an adult that I would look back on. I'm an old fart now, but when I was a younger adult, I can look at those journals and go, wow, look where my head was at during that time. And it was, better than, say, public school time, but it was still not where I'm at now. So, thankfully, knock on wood, I'm in a better place now. But again, it's always a trial and error type of thing in terms of I never know what the next day is going to bring me.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. But so when you're talking about some really personal things in your music, and so did you start doing your music also like when you were in school time as a way to kind of express and kind of escape what was going on around you? Or when did your whole musical part start?
I grew up in a really artistic family. My mom was a theater teacher when I was younger. And so I thought I was going to do theater. And I thought that I did stage shows and musicals. And my dad was in a cover band and just played a lot of music in the house. So I always loved music and loved performing, but never fully went for music. It was more of what I did when I came home from school as like my diary and my journal. And so that was, I went to college for acting and screenwriting because I thought that's what I wanted to do. But then I realized when I'd come home and I'd write, or when I would do open mics in college, I realized that's when I felt the most me, and that's when I felt my strongest. And it was a really weird thing because I didn't see it. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think that I heard myself in the people I listened to, and I didn't think I saw myself. And so I didn't really see that as even an option. But it really wasn't until my best friend gave me the confidence and pushed me, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And I never looked back. So I've only been doing it for publicly, not in my bedroom, for about 4 years now. 5? No, 4 years.
Okay. Wow. Isn't it interesting when you have somebody that supports you and kind of nudges you into something that you're like, I don't think I want to do this, or I don't think I'm ready to do this, or no one wants to hear me, and then things start to magically happen once you do it.
Yeah.
Wow. And you mentioned that you went to college for your screenwriting and acting, and you have that performance background from your younger years. So is that something that you're kind of putting into what you're moving to forward in terms of the music and the film work things?
Yeah, I think part of why I'm drawn to storytelling and like movies and acting and songwriting is I really love creating worlds. And I think when you can do that with your music and you can do that with production, or you can do that with the visuals, that's putting on a show, that's putting on a performance that you are creating of what the world of the song requires. And so that's my favorite part. I think that's where all of the things that I enjoy and all the things that were my hobbies as kids kind of go into that.
Wow, that's what's great about that is that you'll be able to do all of the things on your own. You'll be able to direct your own videos, your own music, your own everything. You could act in them. You can do all that kind of thing because you have the skill set and the passion for it. So you can become a one-woman wrecking machine.
I feel very lucky because my best friend who pushed me, and she's also my roommate. She directed all of my music videos that I've done because we work together in that sense of shared world building and also shared paths. We have a very similar growing path growing up, and so I feel really lucky that she's been able to bring the worlds and the visuals to life. She actually took the pictures that are here, Noelle Dombrowski.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, that you found a like-minded collaborator, and obviously a friend and a roommate and everything else. And so yeah, I was just talking to a guest the other day about when you find the right creative people, man, you just want to hang on to them and just keep building and creating, just like you said, in storytelling and everything else. And because you find some people that are going to be like okay to collaborate with. Sometimes they're good, but then when you find the great ones, those are the ones you're like, yeah, let's keep doing things and see where this goes, which is awesome. And I see Queen. Thank you for joining us, Queen. That you're going to look up Kid in a Minute, which is perfect because that's partially why we're doing this. They can get the word out about who you are and what you do, and you can check out our YouTube channel, and all that stuff's in the link below in the description here. So do that after we're done, please. Not during this interview. So what is coming up then? So you've put out singles and things. Do you have a plan at some point to put out like a full-length album? I know that's not really the popular thing to do these days, with singles being the more practical way to go, but do you have any plans for that?
Literally last week, I realized what I've been working on, and I have an EP. So I am riding that wave because that's been a dream to have enough songs and tracks that you like. That also, I've always wanted to have it flow. They're all different songs, but at least they have a similar kind of capturing the chapter of my life that I'm in right now. And so I've actually recently, last week, I'm starting to go down the EP path, which is really, really exciting. So I'm hoping that will come out later this year.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, I love the fact that you're on that path then, and that we'll see an EP of music all put together, sometime this year, and that means we'll get to see the the cover art and everything else that comes together. And maybe it's too early to tell, but do you have any plans to put out a physical copy of the EP, like a CD or a vinyl or something?
I think so. That would be really cool. I collected CDs as a kid, so that would definitely be something, because I know vinyl is a little bit more on the pricey side, but I think that would be really cool. I would always love to do that.
Oh, I love hearing that. I bring that up with almost every young music guest that I have, because I'm one of those people. I like tangible things. So I try to support the artists that come on and do interviews with me as often as I can. So if they have something I can actually buy, then I do it. I'm not big into the streaming thing. So I can look over on my wall right now and see several CDs and signed stuff that artists have sent me, and in most cases I've actually bought because they put out something. So that's great. And yeah, you're right, vinyl is very expensive to put out, but maybe
it was a weird discovery. It's something that you don't really think about until you get there, and you're like, oh, that's okay, that's the price. But I love vinyls and I love CDs, so it's a price worth doing.
Yeah, and I know I've told, so Eclectic Arts started off as a fanzine back in the day, so it was a hard copy thing, and I didn't know what I was doing, but it was like, well, here's a new adventure to go on. But I've always told myself at some point, I will do a new issue at some point, even if it's just one copy for myself. I will put something out that I can say, here's issue number whatever I ended with, and here's the next one, and kind of go from there. And I see Queen's talking about she only buys physical material now as well. Yeah, I think a lot of fans are learning about how artists get screwed from the streaming platforms in terms of, monetarily. They're still making money from it. That's why they have to tour and sell merchandise. And then, the pandemic happened, so then they can't tour and make a living. So it's like, if I can, buy one CD for $10, how many streams that's worth, which is a ton. It's like, yeah, I'd much rather do that and support the artist that way than, just listening to music, quote unquote, for free, and making tons of playlists. And I understand that helps promote artists. Don't get me wrong. I'm not completely a dinosaur, but I'm kind of in that ballpark where it's like, yeah, there's other ways to help support all the artists out there. And streaming is really like the last one as far as I'm concerned, but that's just my opinion. So with your music, and so do you tend to, well, that's a bad question. How do you tend to write your songs? Are you sitting with, like you said, with a piano? Do you write on guitar? Do you always have lyrics and melodies come first? You look at the journal, or what's that process like for you?
So it changes every time, I think, and that's what's really cool. That sometimes it will be that I'm just playing around on piano and I find a melody, and then I kind of just outpour what feels right with it. Sometimes it's just gibberish. Sometimes it's subconscious lyrics, and then I'll record it. And then sometimes I'll write in my journal, I'll write poems, and I'll take that in later. Or sometimes it's just a random melody and I'm in the middle of something and I have to do a voice memo recording. So there are so many different things, but it's really cool when the melody hits, because I think that helps me more, because then you can find lyrics that fit the melody.
Okay, yeah. And I'm sure you know this, is that once that stuff starts pouring out of you, then you just stay with it and just let it pour out of you. When you find that inspiration, then it's like, and you never know where it's going to come from or what time of day. It could be 2 a.m, like, I've got this idea, and then you just start working with it, so that you don't have to come back to it and go, oh, what was that I had? And then it's all gone and all is lost.
Yeah, like I think I started a song on piano in January, and I was staying at my grandparents' house, and so instead of my keyboard, it was their piano, and so it was just me home alone. And so I found like this melody that I really liked in these lyrics, and I was like, cool, okay, save this for later. And then last week I woke up at 2 a.m, go to the bathroom, and then I found the rest of the song, and so I was like mumbling it into my phone, and I just found it the other day, and I was like, that's the rest of the song, got it, I will remember it, that is there. Sometimes it takes like a whole day to write a song, an hour, or it takes January to last week.
Yeah, very true. You just never know where it's going to come. And at least you're in that habit of grabbing your phone and doing something, so you have it saved so you can come back to it later. I always used to have a bad habit of just not recording stuff. Especially, I'm a guitar player too, so like I'd have a riff. And my other guitar player, he's just been noodling around. He's like, Mark, what did you just play? And I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. So then it became this whole thing of trying to record anytime we were jamming and rehearsing on things, just having like a tape player going with a mic, just so that we can go back and say, okay, at 45 minutes, Mark did something that sounded cool, and we got to figure out what it was, because I was terrible about that stuff. So flash forward now, obviously with phones and everything else and technology, yeah, I always grab that thing. So I have it there. It doesn't matter what it sounds like. At least I can hear what it is and come back to it later. And I see a good question came in asking if you have, what are some of your favorite vocalists of male, female, non-binary?
Oh, that's a great question. Wow. So I love David Byrne, David Bowie, Prince, Lady Gaga, Amy Winehouse, and Billie Eilish. I think those are ones that when I hear it, I'm so drawn to the way that they're not just like the music and not just the production and lyrics. It's also just like the way their mouth is, like their sound. I think those are vocalists that I look up to.
Wow, that's a great list. I was lucky enough to see Bowie back in, gosh, when was that, 1990? Yeah, it was a Sound and Vision tour. That was in the Tacoma Dome here, which is like holds like 20,000 people or whatever. And it's when he decided that he wasn't going to play his famous songs anymore. So he said, "I'm just going to do them on this. This is the last time. So if you want to hear them, then you'll come here." So it's basically like a greatest hits kind of thing is what we got for the set list, with a few random things put in. But I never got to see Prince. That's one I wish I had. But that's. I'm just curious too, with your musical theater type of background. Do you have certain productions that are favorite ones of yours that you'd love to either see, or would you like to actually take part in, being a part of the cast?
Wow. Oh, wow. That's a fun question. When I was younger, I was obsessed with Wicked. I think I asked for it for my birthday every year. So I think I saw Wicked like 4 times when I was a kid. So I adored Alphaba. That used to be like the dream role. Love Rent. I really love the Dia Menzel on Broadway. I love the roles she played.
Mm-hmm.
But one that I will always see if it's there, if I can. I've only seen it live once though. Phantom of the Opera. I love that one. I love the movie. I love the soundtrack. So that would be really, really cool to see again or be a part of.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I've seen, I haven't seen a version of Rent yet. I have seen Wicked. Well, I saw it once as a fan, and then the last time I was in Seattle, I saw it as press, so I was there reviewing it. Phantom, I've seen several times, both as a fan as also as press. And when it was last here, 2018, I've actually had the lead that played Christine Daae on the show. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, why am I having a brain fart right now? Because the alternate was Emma, who I've also had on the show, and Eva. Oh my God, Eva Tavares was the lead for the North American tour of Phantom of the Opera in 2018, and she did it for like 2 years. So I got to see her and talk to her for like 2 minutes in person when they were doing press. But then here we are during the pandemic time, and I got invited to do this tour of opening the virtual tour with Alice. And so I'm like, I wonder if I could actually get a hold of her to do a proper interview, since I only got 2 minutes in person. And she remembered me and everything like that. So we managed to get her on. And then she's just an amazingly talented woman and super generous with her time and her spirit. I couldn't say enough good things about her. And Emma. Emma's really great too. Yeah, Phantom was the first thing that I actually kind of grabbed onto and really, really enjoyed, because I wasn't really a musical person. I had a friend that was trying to get me into musicals when I was like in high school. Yeah, he was trying to get, come on. I'm kind of like, the more you push on me, the more I'm going the other way. Just kind of leave me alone. And eventually I come back to it. And I'm glad that I did come back to it, so that I started to see some of them. And I saw Lion King and Rock of Ages and some of the other ones. And then 2018 happened, and I got lucky where I got to interview some cast members, and then I started reviewing that stuff. So when the Broadway shows come to Seattle, I'm part of the credentialed press now, so I get to see all of those shows.
That's so cool. One I just remembered, Chicago. That one I would kill to be in. But also my sister she's the one who when I was like deep in my musical phase and deep in only listening to soundtracks, she was like, please don't play that in the car. Don't play that around me. And I would always try to sneak in the cool songs or Rock of Ages. I'm like, it's still, and she's like, stop. But it was a highlight of this year that it was her choice for us to watch Chicago together. And I was like, dear diary, today I finally got my sister to watch this with me.
That's awesome. So there's one I haven't seen. And do you have any kind of a dance background? I'm just curious. I think when you mentioned Chicago.
The dance background I have is that I am a great ensemble member, but nothing that has been a lot of experience of ballet and stuff. I do love dancing. It's like all of a sudden when I have to follow choreography, I can't pick it up as fast. And I've accepted that for myself. But I love dancing, and I love learning. Like, we, for a music video for Lost My Head, hired a choreographer and did a dance. And for some future videos, we're also going to be incorporating more dance, and I do dance in my shows. But that is a lot of practice, and I enjoy it. But when I was in musical theater, that dance is a little harder.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, there's always going to be different things that you know, you pull out of your bag of tricks when it comes to being a performer. You know, and obviously you're a musician and have done the theater thing, and you have screenwriting and film work. So I mean, there's going to be there's only so many hours in the day in terms of getting things together. And at least you have some background with dance and that kind of stuff too. So that's nice. I'm one of those people that if you see me dance, it looks like I'm having like a stroke or something. People are kind of wondering what's going on. But yeah, it's really fascinating, Kit, that you have all these different aspects that I mean, again, I think somewhere down the road you're going to see all these things come together. All these artistic talents are going to be like, here's me, here's my vision, and people say, oh, so who did this? Who did this? Oh, I did all of it. I think that's amazing that you have your hand in so many different artistic disciplines.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you mentioned shows, and obviously we've all been missing them during this time, live shows of any kind, theater, bands on stage and all that. Did you do a lot of live performances of your music, or just some, or what were things like, obviously before the pandemic hit?
So I did a lot of shows. I started out with a live band for songs before they were produced, and then as I started getting more songs and tracks, then I started being able to travel more and more lightly with just bringing my tracks and having a DJ and having my dancers with me. And so those were really, really fun. Right before the pandemic, I went and I did my a show in Chicago. That was definitely my favorite show I've ever done, and hoping more live shows in the future. But luckily during the pandemic, because I live with my director, she's also a production designer. And so what we've done with 2 Zoom shows, we've created a whole 30-minute set of creating different places in our house and filming it in one shot of a different world for each song. And so that's been really, really cool. And that's something I would definitely want to incorporate more in live shows once those are happening again, to bring sets and to bring bigger pieces to life. So that's something I'm so glad that I'm so glad that happened for us with that, just because it made me learn how much I enjoy working with actual sets and practical props during my performances.
That's awesome, and that doesn't surprise me. Again, when you talked about your background, and then now I'm starting to picture you on a stage in a club, and you have all of these set pieces that came during the pandemic time in terms of the ideas of how you want to execute these things, and it'd be kind of like seeing. I've always thought about how come like more bands don't incorporate like what musical theater does in terms of the staging, because some of that stuff's like Wicked. I mean, some of that stuff's amazing that they pull off. It's like, there should be a way to be able to do that, even if you're going from town to town to town as a band, because I think that would just enhance things so much more than. And there's nothing wrong with just getting on the stage and just doing your thing, but if you can add some visuals to it, then it always adds that extra oomph to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, so as we kind of wrap this up, Kit, and you mentioned that you're kind of on this path to do an eventual EP release, hopefully this year. Is there anything more immediate coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, my next single, Party Street, will be coming out June 4th, and that I'm super, super excited about.
Okay, and is there going to be a music video accompanying that then?
There's going to be some visuals with it, but this one won't have a music video, but there will be some music videos later this summer. But Party Street I wrote it after listening to Fashion on my plane ride from Chicago to LA. The whole time I was just, there was, those days where you like repeat a song. That day I was just like, I need to listen to this for 4 hours. Then I came home and I wrote it, but visually looking at it, I was really picturing the scene from Batman with the one that Prince did the soundtrack to, of the Joker kind of like moving with his boombox like through the art museum. So that one, it's a really fun summer song about freedom.
Oh, cool. That sounds awesome. And can't wait to hear it and everything else that has, is coming out with what you have going on in the next, few months and, rest of this year. So Kit, thank you so much for taking the time today. I really enjoyed getting to know you and your music. And again, everybody out there, hopefully you can go just check out the links that are in the YouTube description here and check out her music and her website and everything else that wherever you listen to your music at. And perhaps we can get a chance to do a part 2 of this, maybe like in the summertime and kind of connect, especially after the song comes out.
Yeah, I would love that. Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time, and stay safe down there and have a good rest of your day.
You too.
All right. Thank you, Kit. Bye.
Bye.